The wire fill capacity for a 2-inch PVC LB, specifically a column type LB, depends on the wire size. The maximum number of 14 AWG wires you can use is 18. For 12 AWG wire, the maximum is 16 wires. If you are using 10 AWG wire, you can use a maximum of 12 wires. And finally, if you are using 8 AWG wire, the maximum number of wires you can use is 9. The total wire capacity of the 2-inch PVC LB is 11.9 cubic inches. Keep in mind that the actual number of wires that can be pulled through the LB may vary depending on the insulation type and the construction of the wires themselves. It is always recommended to follow the manufacturer's guidelines and to perform a full test to ensure you are not exceeding the proper capacity of the fitting. Overfilling a conduit or fitting can lead to overheating, damage to the wires, and potentially create a fire hazard. The National Electrical Code, or NEC, provides guidelines for wire fill in Chapter 9. While the information presented here is specific to a column type LB, the general principles of wire fill apply to all conduit bodies. It is essential to understand these principles to ensure safe and compliant electrical installations. To elaborate further on wire fill calculations, firstly, you must determine the cross-sectional area of each conductor, including its insulation. This information is typically found in NEC Chapter 9, Table 5, or from the wire manufacturer specifications. Secondly, you need to identify the internal area of the conduit body. The manufacturer usually provides this information, or it is marked in the fitting itself, as stated previously. Thirdly, calculate the allowable fill percentage. NEC Table 1 in Chapter 9 specifies the maximum percentage of the conduit's cross-sectional area that can be occupied by conductors. For conduit bodies, this percentage is often different from that of a straight conduit run. It's imperative to refer to the specific table applicable to conduit bodies. Next, determine the total cross-sectional area of all conductors you intend to install. Sum the individual areas of each conductor, including the grounded and equipment grounding conductors. Then compare the total conductor area to the allowable fill area of the conduit body. Ensure that the total conductor area does not exceed the allowable fill area specified by the NEC and the manufacturer. As mentioned before, always consult the manufacturer's documentation for specific fill requirements of the conduit body you are using. Some manufacturers may have more restrictive fill limits than the NEC. Also, consider the impact of bends and pull points. Exceeding the wire fill capacity can make pulling the wires difficult and may damage the insulation, potentially leading to electrical faults. It is good practice to use a wire pulling lubricant to reduce friction and make the installation easier. If the wire fill calculations indicate that the selected conduit body is too small, you will need to choose a larger size or reduce the number of conductors. It is better to err on the side of caution and use a larger conduit body than to risk overfilling. In addition to the number and size of conductors, you must also consider the ampacity of the conductors. The ampacity of a conductor is the maximum amount of current it can safely carry. The NEC provides tables that list the ampacity of conductors based on their size, insulation type, and ambient temperature. If multiple conductors are bundled together in a conduit, their ampacity may need to be derated. Derating is the process of reducing the ampacity of conductors to account for the heat generated by multiple conductors in close proximity. NEC Table 310.15 provides adjustment factors for more than 3 current-carrying conductors in a raceway or cable. These adjustment factors reduce the allowable ampacity of the conductors to prevent overheating. When derating conductors, it is important to consider the ambient temperature. The ambient temperature is the temperature of the surrounding air. If the ambient temperature is high, the conductors will need to be derated further. NEC Table 310.15 provides correction factors for ambient temperatures other than 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit. The ampacity of the conductors must be equal to or greater than the calculated load. The calculated load is the amount of current that the circuit is expected to carry. The NEC provides guidelines for calculating the load for various types of circuits. In addition to the ampacity of the conductors, you must also consider the voltage drop in the circuit. Voltage drop is the decrease in voltage that occurs along the length of a conductor. Excessive voltage drop can cause equipment to malfunction and can also reduce the efficiency of the circuit. The NEC recommends limiting voltage drop to 3% for branch circuits and 5% for feeders. To calculate voltage drop, you can use the following formula: voltage drop equals 2 times K times I times D divided by Cm, where K is the direct current constant, which is 12.9 ohms for copper and 21.2 ohms for aluminum. I is the current in amps, D is the one-way distance in feet, and Cm is the circular mils of the conductor. You can find the circular mils of a conductor in NEC Chapter 9, Table 8. If the voltage drop exceeds the recommended limits, you will need to increase the size of the conductors or reduce the length of the circuit. Selecting the correct size and type of conductor for an electrical installation is essential for safety and performance. By following the guidelines in the NEC and consulting with a qualified electrician, you can ensure that your electrical installations are safe, reliable, and compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. Remember to always disconnect power before working on any electrical circuits. Always use appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses and gloves. And if you are not comfortable working on electrical circuits, it is best to hire a qualified electrician. Finally, remember that the information provided here is for general guidance only. Always consult the NEC and local electrical codes for specific requirements in your area. Electrical codes and regulations can vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, so it is important to stay up to date on the latest requirements. Working with electricity can be dangerous, so it is important to take all necessary precautions to protect yourself and others. If you have any questions or concerns, it is always best to consult with a qualified electrician. Remember safety first when dealing with electrical installations. Always double-check your work and never take shortcuts. A well-planned and executed electrical installation will provide years of safe and reliable service. Now let's delve deeper into the specific considerations for using a 2-inch PVC LB in a detached garage. Firstly, understand the environment. Detached garages often experience temperature fluctuations and humidity changes, which can impact the longevity and performance of electrical wiring. Therefore, selecting the appropriate wire insulation is crucial. Secondly, consider the type of loads the garage will serve. Will it primarily be for lighting and occasional power tool use, or will it house heavy-duty equipment like welders or air compressors? This will determine the required circuit amperage and the appropriate wire gauge. Thirdly, carefully plan the layout of the wiring within the garage. Consider the placement of outlets, switches, and lighting fixtures, ensuring they meet NEC requirements for spacing and accessibility. Fourthly, when pulling wires through the 2-inch PVC LB and conduit, use a suitable wire pulling lubricant. This will reduce friction and prevent damage to the wire insulation. Avoid using excessive force when pulling wires, as this can also damage the insulation. Fifthly, ensure that all connections within the garage are properly made and secured. Use appropriate connectors and terminals, and tighten all screws and bolts to the manufacturer's specifications. Loose connections can cause overheating and electrical faults. Sixthly, install ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protection for all outlets in the garage. GFCIs are designed to protect people from electrical shock by detecting ground faults and quickly shutting off the power. Seventhly, properly ground the electrical system in the garage. This includes grounding the metal enclosure of the panel board, all metal conduit, and any other metal equipment. Proper grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to trip circuit breakers or fuses and prevent electrical shock. Eighthly, label all circuits in the panel board clearly and accurately. This will make it easier to identify and troubleshoot circuits in the future. Ninthly, inspect the entire electrical installation carefully before energizing the circuits. Look for any signs of damage, loose connections, or other potential problems. Tenthly, after energizing the circuits, test all outlets and lighting fixtures to ensure they are working properly. Use a multimeter to verify that the voltage is correct. It is also important to consider the type of wiring method used in the detached garage. Non-metallic sheet cable, or NM cable, is commonly used for residential wiring. However, in some cases, it may be necessary to use conduit to protect the wiring from physical damage. If conduit is used, it must be properly installed and grounded. In addition to the above considerations, it is also important to follow all applicable building codes and regulations. Building codes vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, so it is important to check with your local building department to determine the specific requirements in your area. Obtaining the necessary permits and inspections is crucial. Permits ensure that the electrical work is inspected and meets safety standards. Inspections help identify potential problems and ensure that the installation is compliant with codes. Remember that working with electricity can be dangerous, so it is important to take all necessary precautions. If you are not comfortable working on electrical circuits, it is best to hire a qualified electrician. And always disconnect power before working on any electrical circuits. The information provided here is for general guidance only. Always consult the NEC and local electrical codes for specific requirements in your area.